protests. We expect to see dozens of official protests because we know dozens of groups have registered for permits. But all of those will pale to the size of what we will see tomorrow, the Women's March on Washington. Hundreds of thousands of people expected in Washington, and similar rallies in more than 60 countries around the world, 161 marches and growing, and Canada playing a big part in all of it. And this woman you're about to meet is playing a very big part in it. Marissa McTasney is in Washington right now, one of the lead organizers of the Canadian contingent. Good morning to you, Marissa. Thank you for being part of our program this morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Now, listen, the march isn't until tomorrow. You're in Washington today. What are you doing today?
You know what? I've been in Washington since Monday, and I've been sightseeing and having meetings and connecting and networking with the amazing women of this town and for all of those that have flown in from across the country.
But you're also there for the inauguration, am I right?
Yes, that's right.
Now, that would seem surprising because here you are to protest, and there you're going to see Donald Trump sworn in. So explain that decision.
Okay, well, I'm here to march and rally. So the theme of our march is equality, diversity, and inclusion. And I'm certainly by no means part of the protest, and nor is the delegation from Canada, nor the U.S. organizers. So this is a global movement that is now spanning to 61 countries and 161 cities around the world. And that's not including the numbers out of the U.S. and the sister marches. So we're here to march peacefully, but through these connections that I've made, one of them is with a board member of the National Congress of Black Women, Shara Arrington. And so she's been exposing me to America and giving me some great lessons. And so we're actually going to the inauguration together. She had thought about not going and offered me her ticket. And I said, but isn't now the time we need to show up and do our greatest work? And so we're here to learn with open ears and hopefully experience an amazing piece of history. And I am very excited to see Obama and Hillary Clinton and go through the process.
Respecting the process that has given rise to Donald Trump. That's interesting. A protest that is not anti-Trump so much as pro-rights, as you are describing them. I mean, Donald Trump got to this office on the backs of what he called a movement, and now you're suggesting that this may spark a whole different movement. I mean, what do you think it might become over the course of his presidency?
Oh, I hope so. And I think, Obama did us a great favor in his farewell address, saying, we thought I'm Canadian, but they thought by electing a Black president, we might see the end of racism. And it's not that easy. And I believed if Hillary Clinton had won, overnight we'd have gender equality and rights for women and for all. And it's just not that simple. And so we need to show up. We need to continuously challenge democracy and have activism. And so that's the movement that we're hoping for, is that it's a very inclusive society, and we don't want to see any of these divisive manners or hate crimes move north of the border, for sure.
No, those are universal themes and universal protections. Tell me a little bit about the Canadian contingent, because this started with sort of one message and has grown to something that has really sparked the involvement and interest of hundreds of Canadian women. Tell us who will be there alongside you.
Absolutely. Well, we have 11 buses coming from Canada full of Canadians and some Americans that are all heading to Washington, as well as 31 sister marches across the country. And so everybody has raised a hand to participate and volunteer in these values. And so we're all very excited, very moved. It's a very passionate movement, and there's an individual, deep reason everybody wants to participate.
To speak to that passion, just for one more moment, if you would, Marissa, 200,000 plus women, some celebrities leading things, but mostly it's just a gathering of women. And there will be men too, of course, but a gathering of people who feel passionately about the rights which you also hold dear. What do you think it's going to be like tomorrow?
I don't know. I have never done anything like this before, and I think that's what's making this movement so unique, is people that have never marched before, never rallied, never protested. This is so important to them. And I think the divisive nature of the election and some of the comments made, really, we want to make sure that does not become the norm. And the numbers that we see, for instance, with sexual assault being 1 in 4 women, in university being assaulted, we talk about that number like it's the norm. The norm should be 0. And so I think these are really good conversations that we're having right now. And so we're going to move forward. January 21st, the Women's March on Washington is really an awareness event. But what happens on January 22nd is collectively what we really need to see, the momentum being created and action strategies so that we can continue the positive progress that we need to see.
Marissa, thank you very much. Enjoy this day and the moment tomorrow. And I'm sure at CBC News we'll be checking in with you again over the weekend. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So let's leave Washington for just a moment.